Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to the channel for another Raid Shadow Legends video, and today we're going to be going over how to complete the upcoming Fragment Summon event in the game coming next week. So, if you're watching this video as it goes out, or maybe a day after it goes out, start saving resources now. I'm going to be talking about the events that are going to be involved to complete the Fragment Summon, and the resources you're going to need to do that. So, as of right now, we do not have the calendar of events for the new event. But what I can show you is a past calendar to kind of give you an idea of the events involved, the point threshold, how to complete them, and the resources you're going to need. So, if we take a look at Hell Hades' website, we have the Mighty Ukko Fragment fusion, which was a past fusion in the game. Real quickly, take a look at the bottom left hand of the screen. So if you'll see the fragments available, 55 from tournaments, 40 from tournament leaderboards, and 60 from events for a total of 155. You only need a total of 100 fragments to complete the event. So that leaves us in excess of 55 points. If you're new to the game, early, or free to play, or even low spender, don't even worry about the 40 points for tournament leaderboards. Those are extra points for coming in first place in your tournament bracket, and there's a 99% chance that that's not going to be you. If you're new to the game, free to play, low spender, most likely someone's going to commit some amount of money to coming in first place. So don't even worry about the 40 points from tournament leaderboards. That leaves us 15 extra points. And so after we go over the events and what's involved, you'll be able to see, okay, maybe I can skip this event. Maybe I can only hit the first point threshold for one event, but not the second. And another thing to consider is that these points are, or these amounts of fragments available are subject to change. Plarium changes things in the game all the time. So for the one that's coming up for Pythion next week, there could be a total of 165. There could be a total of 125. We don't know because we don't have the calendar. So I'm just going to point that out, and then we're going to talk about the events. So let's start with the tournaments. I'm going to group Ice Golem, Fire Knight, Spider, and Dragon tournament all in the same group because all you're going to be doing is going into those dungeons and completing the highest level possible that you can on your account over and over and over. Now, the higher the stage, the more points you're going to get. There are optimal stages to farm if you're just going for points and trying to minimize the amount of energy spent. Most in-game players will farm 24-25. I personally farm stage 20. It's the fastest for me. If you're early to the game or have a lower level account, I believe it's stage 10. I know it's stage 10 for Spider. So stage 10 for Spider is kind of weird in that in the game, the algorithm that's programmed to drop artifacts is higher for 5-star artifacts at level 10. So Spider 10 for sure. And then for the other dungeons, the highest level that you can farm, I would say, is going to be your best bet. The higher you can go, the more points you're going to get, and the less energy you're going to have to spend. So a normal threshold for a fragment event like this is 2,250 points. You average about 1 point per energy. So 2250 energy times 4, do the math. ask yourself, do I have that amount of energy saved? Can I get that amount of energy from now until the fusion? These are things to consider. Energy is just the main thing you're going to need, and the champions to be able to complete these dungeons at a high enough level. Classic Arena Takedown is the next tournament. That is just running Classic Arena, beating up on teams. Most people will drop to one-man defenses for this, so they'll be easier to complete. This is by far the easiest tournament in the entire event. So as long as you have an arena team and you're winning more fights than you're losing, you'll be fine here. You don't have to worry about spending any money or stressing about this event. Champion Chase Tournament. So this is one of the big roadblocks in any sort of fusion, whether it's Fragment or traditional. The way a Champion Chase Tournament works is you are given points based off the rarity of champions that you pull. That could be champions from anywhere. So that could be from summoning shards. If we take a look at my account, I have plenty of shards. I'm not worried about this event. I believe you get 100 to 120 points from pulling pulling a rare. 250 points for an epic, and 500 points for a legendary. Now, what most people will do is they will save previous Fragment champions to complete this event. So if we take a look, I have all of these champions saved, and the reason I'm saving them is for Champion Chase tournaments or Champion Chase events, right? So it's easy for me to complete them. I mean, if we're just going off of 500 points per legendary, there's 2,000 points right there. 250 for an epic, there's 250, there's 250. So this is an easy way to get easy champion chase points if you have champions saved up. If you don't, your best bet is going to be pulling shards. Now, even from sacred shards, which are the best shards in the game, and Polarium values them at the highest amount, let's say you get unlucky and you're only pulling epics. I believe the first point threshold for epics is around 1,200 points. Actually, I can tell you exactly based on the previous Fragment event. That's Champion Training. Champion Chase. So 1150 is the first point threshold. Right? So remember what I said. Rares are 100 to 120. Epics are 250. Legendaries are 500. So 1150 is the first threshold, and 2500 is the second. 5 points for the first threshold, 10 points for the second. So this is one of the big roadblocks in any summoning event like this. So you have to ask yourself, do you have the champions saved up? If not, can you get them? Because what you don't want to do is start an event like this, right? You're going through Dragon, you're going through Spider, you're going through Fire Knight, you're going through Ice Golem, you're doing the Classic Arena, and you're getting all these fragments, but then it comes to the summoning events, and there's always going to be two. There's always going to be a champion chase and a summon rush, and you hit a roadblock. Well, now, let's say you can't do one, or you can't do both, and that stops you from getting 100 fragments. Well, unless you have 100 fragments, you just wasted your time, energy, and resources. I mean, I'm going to be straight up honest. You just wasted a bunch of resources that you really didn't need to. So the most important thing you can figure out for your account is, do you have enough resources? Do you have enough shards? Do you have enough available fragment champions to pull to fulfill these thresholds or not? Because trust me, it feels really bad to almost complete one of these and then not be able to fulfill the point threshold to get these fragments. So very, very important. Champion Chase, and then Summon Rush is another one as well. So we'll go over the Summon Rush right now. So Summon Rush, instead of like Champion Chase, where it's based on the rarity of the champion you pull, Summon Rush is based on the type of shard. So you can see previously 2150 and 3500 were the point thresholds for 5 and 15 fragments. And here are the value of the shards, right? So mystery shards are worth 1 point, ancient shards are worth 20, voids are worth 120, and sacreds are worth 500. So again, if we take a look at the point threshold, 2150 to hit that first 5 fragments, the easiest way to do it would be to pull 5 sacreds, 4 or 5 sacreds, right? And then you're there. Now, not a lot of people sit on 4 or 5 sacreds, I would say, and Plarium values them they're the most expensive shard in the game. So, you're looking at 4 or 5 sacreds for the first, and then 7 sacreds, right? My math is right, for the whole thing. So I would recommend everyone save at least 7 sacreds at all times, unless, well, they've never done a guaranteed sacred event for 7 shards. But I would say, if you can't complete this fusion now, if you're hearing about the Champion Chase requirements and you're hearing about the Summon Rush requirements and you don't have the shards or the champions available as of right now, start saving now for the next one, right? Because this is what you're going to need. Most likely, these thresholds will increase, not decrease. Plarium is really bad about increasing the amount that's needed and not decreasing it to make it more accessible to people. So this is still subject to change. I mean, they could come out next week and say, the first threshold is now 2,500 instead of 2,150, and the second one is 4,000, right? So now you need 8 sacreds instead of 7. So this is subject to change. This is just going off of the past legendary fragment event that we had in the game. So keep that in mind. Again, Summon Rush, Champion Chase, 2 really big obstacles for every fusion event. So we've covered the dungeon tournaments, we've covered Classic Arena, and we've covered Summon Rush and Champ Chase. Champ Training Tournament is pretty straightforward. All you're going to be doing is leveling champions, ranking them up. I'll show you a good trick of how to do this in the game, how to get the most points per champion. So let's see first if we can find the thresholds for champ training. I believe it was down here. Yeah, here we go. Champion training event. 3,500 points for the first threshold, 9,350 for the second. 5 and 10 fragments, respectively. So below it, you'll see a table here of how many points you get per level. Sorry, disregard that. This is for artifact enhancement. This is something else. Let's talk about champion training. So in the game, you'll get points for leveling up champions and ranking them up. So the way that I do champion training is I'll take a 1-star. Actually, we need some champions. So let's summon 10 from mystery shards. All right, there we go. Some uncommons, some commons. So what I'll do is I'll go in the tavern and I'll start with the 1-stars. I'll give them 1 brew of the same affinity and then 3 1-stars. That'll get them to rank 10. Then you can upgrade them. Now they're rank 2. What I'll do after that is I'll go into 12-3 Brutal, not 12-7. 12-3 gives you the most XP per energy, and it also gives you the most silver. So you're just going to be selling all of these shields. So you'll go here, you'll put in 3 level 2s, and you'll rank them up. So you'll run this as many times as it takes to get these 2 stars to 20. Alright, we'll sell this. These 2 should take one more run. So we'll do one more. Alright, so we have some max level 20 champions. So now what I'll do is I will go into the tavern again. I'll go to upgrade rank. I'll go take one of these 20s. Now, you can see I have some level 1 2 stars. I have this level 14 2 star, and these other fully ranked up 2 stars. So what I'll do, instead of feeding these 2 stars at level 1, is I'll take them. I will take a 2-star champion like this. Just give him 1 brew. Just for the extra points. Right? You're going to get, and these are going to add up. So I'm just going to give him 1 brew. Relatively cheap. This is going to be free points. You'll see, you know, plus however many points pop up here when the event is live. So I'll do that for 1, do that for another, and then I'll go back into upgrade rank, and then I'll feed them as level 10s, not as level 1s. And so now we have a 3-star. And now I'll take 3 3-stars and run them into 12-3 until they're level 30. Now, do I have a 30? I don't, right? But once I have 3 30s ranked up through campaign, and it's time to upgrade those to a 4-star, am I going to feed 3 chickens, 3 3-star chickens? No. Am I going to feed 3 1-star or 3 level 1 3-stars into them? No. I'm going to put 2 potions or 2 brews into those champions. So just as an example, let's get this guy. Let's max him out, 11 brews. So now we have a fully leveled up 3-star. We go to upgrade rank. I'm not going to use any of my chickens. So instead of doing something like this, right, where you have 3 3-star champions, all level 1, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these level 3 champions and I'm going to put 2 brews into them. That's going to give me more points for the event. And you do this over and over for each level, and you'll notice it adds up. Never feed a level 1 food champion. Every champion that's going to be food, you know, put 1 brew into them at 2 stars, put 2 brews into them at 3, put 3 or 4 in at 4 stars, and I'd say put 5 or more, you know, 5 to 7 brews into them at 5 stars. Just make sure you're never feeding any star level a level 1 champion. Trust me, it's going to add up. It's going to make this tournament go way faster, way easier for you, and you won't be using as many resources as you would if you fed them at level 1. So that's champion training. Pretty simple, pretty straightforward. What else do we have on the calendar? Dungeon Divers. So Dungeon Divers is just tied to, I believe, the rank and rarity of the artifacts and accessories that you pull out of whatever dungeon you're doing. You'll notice that directly above Dungeon Divers Event 1 on the calendar is Ice Golem Tournament. So this is another thing you want to focus on during these events, is overlapping as many things as possible, right? So if you run Ice Golem and Dungeon Divers while they're going at the same time, you're essentially completing 2 events for the price of 1, right? So while you're running Ice Golem Tournament, you're getting points for that. And you're also getting points for Dungeon Divers because you're getting artifacts from the Ice Golem dungeon. That's counting towards Dungeon Divers. That's counting towards Ice Golem. If you look to the right, you'll see a champion training event, which we just went over, overlaps with a Fire Knight tournament. Now, I don't think being able to solo, I don't think any champion in the game is able to solo the Fire Knight, but there are dungeons like Ice Golem, like Dragon, like Spider that can be soloed by champions. If you have an account that's able to do that, and you can overlap that with a Dungeon Divers event, and you can overlap that with a champion training, then you can essentially do 3 for 1, right? You can complete the dungeon event, you can complete Dungeon Divers, and you can complete champion training by just running food champions with whatever champion you're using to solo that event. So that's another pro tip for these types of events. And then the only event that we haven't gone over is artifact enhancement. So artifact enhancement is just upgrading artifacts. You'll see here the points you get in this table, the points you get for upgrading your artifacts based on the star rating. So you see, obviously, the higher the stars, the more points you're going to get per level. And notice it's only every 4 levels. So if you take an artifact from rank 1 to 3, you're going to get no points. If you take a 6-star from 1 to 4, you get 3 points. From 4 to 8, you get 10 points. For 8 to 12, 65, and for 12 to 16, 340 points. So it's unfortunate that you get so few points at lower tiers, and this is where the resource of silver comes in. Most people say 20 million silver per event. I don't think it's that high, but I think that's a safe estimate of what you'll need. So if you go into your account and you look at your silver counter up here and it says less than 20 million, then you need to get it to 20 million. That's a safe estimate. Again, I don't think it ever comes out to that high. I would say it's possible with 10, maybe 15, just to be safe. But most people say 20 million is what you need. I think that's only if you're upgrading, 6-star to 16. 20 million is safe. But you could probably get away with less. But if you wanted to feel completely safe, 20 million silver is what you're going to need. And all you're going to do is just go in and level up your artifacts, from 4 to 8, 8 to 12, 12 to 16. What some people will do is they'll rank up artifacts and accessories to 15 instead of 16, and they'll save that last rank up for events like this so they can do it quickly, efficiently, and be done with it as soon as possible. If we go back, I believe that's everything. So we went over all the dungeons. We went over Classic Arena. We went over Champion Chase. We went over Champion Training, Artifact Enhancement, Summon Rush, Dungeon Divers. Yeah, that's everything. So the big thing to take away from this is start saving your resources now. Understanding, are you going to have the resources that you need by the time that the Fragment event goes live? If not, are you willing to spend money in the game to get those resources? And, do you have an account that's capable of completing everything? Do you have an account that can farm every dungeon in the game? Do you have an account that you can win arena battles consistently? Do you have an account where you have enough shards to summon champions to turn them into food champions for champion training? Do you have enough shards on the account to fulfill Summon Rush and Champion Chase? these are the things you have to ask yourself. I don't know if I've said this already, but fragments are easier than traditional fusion, so this will give you a good idea of if you can complete something like this, then a traditional fusion is going to require more of you. And if you can't complete something like this, then you definitely won't be able to complete a traditional fusion. I believe that's everything I have to say about this event. Like I said, as of the recording of this video, it will start next Thursday. So just check the day and the date of this video to get a better idea of that. And yeah, I'm going for it. Everyone says the champion is S tier, looks really good. I'm tending to agree. The more info I see coming out and the more I hear other content creators talk about the champion, I think it's going to be really good. I'm going for it. I'm going to be spending resources, and I'll also do daily videos of the events that I'm doing, how I'm completing them, my teams, and stuff like that. So if you want to know specifically, what an event looks like live, tune into the channel, look for videos next week once it is available, and I'll be making daily videos on how to complete that. If this video helped you at all, give it a thumbs up, leave me a comment, and I'll see you guys in the next one.